The last time that there was a power vacuum by way of a public high-level departure, Rob Pelinka just stepped into the power vacuum, right? Jeannie Buss had the opportunity after Magic Johnson stepped away. There was plenty of intrigue. The Lakers had LeBron James. They looked like they were about to trade for Anthony Davis. They had a pretty nice young core surrounding LeBron, even if they didn't trade for AD. Like, they were going in the right direction. There was plenty. I've heard everybody from Masai Ujiri, Bob Myers, and a few other like high level names were interested in that gig. And rather than even interviewing anybody, Jeannie just handed the keys over to Rob. And this is where I am really like, this is the first test to me of this new Lakers era, where there's a right thing for them to do. Like you're talking about, go out and get the best scouts, open up the organization that has been so insulated for years, and bring in people from all over the league, hell, all over the globe to bolster your organization and utilize Mark Walter's resources. And if they don't do that and instead double down on the approach that they took after Magic Johnson left, that would make me pretty worried about the direction that the Lakers will be going in. Do you think I'm overthinking this?
I think if the Lakers didn't trade for Luka and Rob wasn't involved in that, and let's say had the roster they had last year currently, and I'm talking about with Anthony Davis and with LeBron, and you just see a dead end coming. Like, this is going nowhere.
Jeannie has said that they were like just playing out the strip.
Oh yeah. And by the way, like I think most Laker fans were saying to themselves, what happens after this? And there wasn't this comfort level of, well, just hand the keys over to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis kept throwing the keys back. Like, he's like, hey, yeah, I take it some nights, but I really like being the passenger at times. Other times I like driving.
Like dodging the keys. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Dodging the keys, throwing it to the valet. I don't know what he's doing. But clearly I think where they sit today, I think you have to at least give Rob Pelinka, I would say minimum 1 year. What does the next year look like for Rob Pelinka? And there is a little put up or shut up. And I think this is the most important thing, whether, Anthony, they got rid of Rob Pelinka tomorrow or they kept him for 5 years because he was having success. I think this new ownership is, brother, you're on the clock. Like, money doesn't mean anything to us. It costs us money to have the wrong person in your position.
Yes.
So
that's a great way to put it.
So I was looking at this before the show started too, because just to make sure here. So Pelinka did sign a contract extension, if you remember. That happened.
JJ's.
There you go. Okay, so that happened not too far after, obviously after the Luka trade and everything else. But I think this is what happens when you have this type of ownership group. I think the new ownership group can look at the situation today and say, listen, do we want to have this much turbulence right now? Do we want to have the team's off to a good start? Luka just got here. He signs a long contract extension. We got a ton of flexibility for next year. The Lakers aren't in an awful position here. LeBron, okay, we'll find out what LeBron does, but they also didn't commit long-term or anything. He's on the books this year. We'll see what happens. I think the bigger headache would have been, I don't think they can get rid of Rob Pelinka because he's a friend of the franchise and, he's comes from the Kobe branch, and then Jeannie is really close to him. I think Rob Pelinka now understands, okay, if I don't have really tremendous success over the next couple of years, I lose my job. And I don't know if you got that if it was still the Buss family as ownership. So I think either way, whatever they do, I think they will do the right thing based on what that position, if the person is living up to that position or not.
You're a Padres fan, right?
I am a Padres fan. Yep.
So the reason I ask is because I covered the Dodgers when Mark Walter and his group had bought the Dodgers. I was running Dodgers Nation at the time. I was covering them when they hired Dave Roberts, and they brought in some like 15 candidates that they were interviewing to make sure that they got the right guy. And one of the things that they did, or that Mark Walter did, was when he first took over, Ned Coletti was the GM, Don Mattingly was the manager. And they basically said to those guys, we're just going to watch. We're just going to see how you guys are living. We're going to see how you guys run things. And eventually arrived at the conclusion, Ned, thank you for your service. Why don't you go work for Spectrum? And then Don Mattingly, Mr. Baseball, really appreciate your thoughts on the sport, all the stuff. Best of luck in Miami. And I kind of feel like, history can kind of tell us about the future. And I think I'm backing up your point basically here. It's like they are probably going to give Rob and Jeannie and that whole crew, the Ramby, and the people that they want to work with, a 3 to 4 year grace period, I would say, where they're gonna see how they're living. They're gonna probably invest more resources into the infrastructure of the Lakers organization, and then after 3-4 years here, they'll take a look at how things have gone, specifically with Luka, and make their decision on Rob and Jeannie and so forth. Now, one little detail that has popped up recently is that Mark Walter was actually asked about that grace period that he gave Ned Coletti and Don Mattingly. And he's on the record saying he wished he hadn't have waited so long, that he didn't feel like his first however many years with the Dodgers were as successful as they needed to be, and that they arrived where they are now too slowly. And so that being the lesson that he took from his initial stages with the Dodgers, if I'm Rob Pelinka and I'm Jeannie Buss and I want to keep my jobs, that is not the quote that I want to hear. I'd be a little nervous. So some interesting dynamics at play for sure.
The Pelinka piece is interesting. I think what he was saying about Rob, for those who don't know, let me give you guys just those details here real quick. I'll start looking at some of the comments as well. I know, but I was looking April 18th, 2025. Lakers signed Rob Pelinka to contract extension as president and GM. Jeannie Buss said, for 8 seasons, I've relied on Rob's vision and leadership to do what's best for the organization. I value his partnership and professionalism and believe in his ability to deliver championship caliber basketball for Los Angeles and Laker fans everywhere. Pelinka joined the team 2017. Okay, goes on. Okay. So this is an interesting conversation in itself, because I think what Anthony and I were talking about, look, some people might go out there and say, oh, hey, Pelinka's on the clock. Some people might say JJ's on the clock. Some people might say Jeannie's on the clock. I don't know, I'm just making things up here. I think everyone's on the clock. Guys, have you ever been a part of an organization? I have, and that's not too long ago too, actually kind of recent, where a new ownership group takes over the company that you're working for. Changes happen. Of course, that's part of the mix. And they start kind of looking and analyzing stylistically. I do think his comp about the Dodgers is a great comp, but I also think that's the right way to do business. You don't just come in and make sweeping changes everywhere because you got an ego and you want to let everybody know I'm the boss. You let the dust settle. We're excited to have you all here. We think we can all grow together. And then you kind of behind the scenes and get in the weeds and start figuring out what's working and what's not. Like what individuals are performing for this company, what are not. What individuals bring great chemistry to the organization. They always have new ideas. They're excited when they come in. They have good, they're always positive. Like that these are all the part of the analysis that you go through if you're a business owner and you're taking over a company. Rob Pelinka bought himself time because he traded for Luka Doncic. If the Lakers are not doing well a year from now or 2 years from now, or people feel like, where the hell is this organization going? Then Rob Pelinka won't be working there anymore. He just won't. And I don't think his contract matters. I think that's the thing where, people get stuck sometimes. You get new ownership that comes in and you start asking the question, all right, well, they can't spend the way they did, or they can't spend the way they do in baseball in the NBA. Well, they can spend however they want in the front office and in the scouting department and the president of basketball operations and coaching. Let me just give you guys a random example. Let me give you an example. Okay. let's say in a year from now, Rob Pelinka is just not getting the job done and you don't like the direction of the franchise. And the new ownership, who does have deep pockets, comes in and says, here's a check. We need you to go walk away. You're out. We pay you out. Okay, let's, we'll write that off. That's done. Let's go get Masai Ujiri. Just use an example. Masai Ujiri is somebody that has been considered top 5, or Bob Myers is available. And you're like, let's go get Bob Myers. What this ownership group can do is they can say, we're going to stop throwing money towards an individual that's just not getting the job done. We're now going to go throw money towards a different investment, and that's going to be a new president of basketball operations. They're all on the clock. If JJ Redick in a year from now or a year and a half, I don't care how long his extension is, if they say this is not the right guy for the job, maybe they'll give him more and more opportunities. Maybe JJ isn't the best example, but maybe it is a perfect example. Let's say Lakers get to the playoffs again, and clearly JJ Redick is outcoached in the postseason. You don't think there's going to be ownership saying that's 2 years in a row he's been in the playoffs and he's actually hurt our franchise and our team? Everyone's on the clock. Why wouldn't they be? And I think yesterday was just a little bit of an indication of that. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here and we'll keep things rolling here. All right, let's see what we got here. We need to bring Nico to the Lakers. I mean, here's a Nico shot if I've ever seen one. Close that window there. Had some fresh air coming in. Bob Myers is not that good. I'm not here to try to make, a case that it needs to be Bob Myers. The point I'm just making is the concept of it. I think the concept of it is more what I'm referring to, whether that's a Masai Ujiri. I mean, let me throw another random, okay, just let me throw a random example here. I wouldn't be shocked if new ownership group came in and said, okay, write down on a sheet of paper the top 3 president of basketball operations in the entire NBA. Who are those 3? And of course, one of those 3 is going to be Sam Presti. I wouldn't be surprised if they have on a notepad there, hey, in a perfect world, is there any way Sam Presti would ever come to the Los Angeles Lakers? All right, well, what if we gave, as somebody's saying here, a blank check? That's what this ownership group can do. And I'm not telling you that's going to happen. And I'm not telling you that Sam Presti would have any interest in the Lakers. But what I'm telling you is the concept of going out there and saying, find me the best in the business. Is he available? And the conversation is, no, that guy doesn't want the job. Sounds good. Who's the second best in the business? Is he available? No, that guy doesn't want the job. Find me the third one. They're going to find somebody that's top 5 in the NBA. It is the Lakers. It's not the Sacramento Kings. It's not the Phoenix Suns. It's not the Charlotte Hornets. It's not the go down the list. It's one of the most prestigious franchises in all of sports. Prestigious in the name, prestigious in the logo. Everybody recognizes it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I do think that, like I said, I think for me, I don't think what happened yesterday was a bad thing. I think what happened yesterday was, there's new owners in town, and new owners are going to try to do things their way. So we'll see what eventually happens. Obviously when it comes to Rob Pelinka, but I think there's some truth to everybody's on the clock. Everybody. I don't think these guys are going to walk in and say, what would be awesome is if the Lakers got past the first round. That'd be fun. No, what they're going to say is, how do they win a championship? And then we sell all that merch, and then we had the parade, and we got that. That's how they're going to look at it. I know every team looks at it that way, but these are business owners that already have a model of wild success. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.